Here Media speaking to Dina Govender, the Hydrogen Program Director of BMW Group South Africa. Dina, can you tell us what message should go out to South Africa about this important development?
This is the first time in South Africa that we have a fleet of hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles operating on public roads in South Africa. We launched it today along the sidelines of the World Hydrogen Council CEOs Conference, which happened for the first time on the African continent in Johannesburg over the past few days. Global climate politics has taken a turn for the better, and there's extreme pressure on companies, institutions, both governmental organizations, non-governmental organizations and for-profit companies to commit to the Paris Accord. And hydrogen is a wonderful technology that allows us to, in particular, manage CO2 emissions in very hard-to-abate industries.
And is it green hydrogen that we're getting, and where are you getting it from?
Absolutely. I think a key message is collaboration. And the green hydrogen economy, which was a buzzword a few years ago, but now a very real reality, cannot happen without collaboration. So BMW Group, together with our partners Anglo American Platinum in South Africa and Sasol, formed this collaboration because all of us are bound by common CO2 abatement goals. We are all committed to being carbon neutral and zero net carbon by 2050, and each of us plays an important role in the value chain. So Sasol, of course, wanting to decarbonize the operations, wanting to move the operations more away from old industries into new industries, has started producing green hydrogen, provides us with the molecule and also the refueling infrastructure set up at our Midrand campus here in Johannesburg. And Anglo American, of course, produces 75% of the world's refined platinum group metals, which is critical for this industry. So as three partners, we found common ground, and each of us provides a unique part of the puzzle. And of course BMW has a long history with hydrogen technology. We produced our first hydrogen vehicle in 1984, which was the 745i Turbo, an internal combustion engine driven by liquid hydrogen. I think we really took a step forward in this space in the early 2000s when we introduced our 7 Series hydrogen vehicle, which was a V12 hydrogen liquid fueled vehicle, which we brought and showcased at the World Economic Forum held here in Johannesburg in 2002. And we continue on that path where we introduced for the first time today on public roads for testing. It's part of a global fleet prior to a potential future announcement from the company to produce a series vehicle. What I can say, it's the most powerful fuel cell electric passenger vehicle in the world.
It's a fantastic partnership, a great collaboration between Anglo American Platinum, BMW and Sasol on the launch of the iX5 fuel cell electric vehicle demonstration in South Africa. And it's fantastic to be in South Africa. You know, the hydrogen and the hydrogen economy unpacks fantastic value for South Africa, and for us as PGM miners, a value for the PGM industry, where platinum and iridium used both in the generation of green hydrogen to the opportunities of PEM electrolyzers as well in the fuel cell electric vehicle. So I think for us it allows us to develop this green mobility ecosystem, which is part of one of the strategic pillars of allowing us to unpack PGM demand and allows for a greener, better future. I think if you look at decarbonizing South Africa, one of the big opportunities is the vehicles on our road. You know, the transition to fuel cell electric vehicles ensure we get the best of electric vehicles without the emissions, but the distance and the ease of being able to drive the vehicle along longer distance and quicker refueling. So the car and the vehicle has 6 kgs of hydrogen, allowing you about a 500 kilometer range. So I think in our green mobility plan, part of the hydrogen corridor that we're trying to establish between our Limpopo, Mogalakwena mine all the way down to Gauteng and into KwaZulu-Natal. This is one step of that, you know, looking at heavy vehicles, so looking at trucks and buses, part of a project Rainbow that's been designated now a strategic infrastructure project, and creating that green mobility network. So I think we started on this journey really 2 years ago now, you know, with the launch of the ZEISS system, our zero emissions haulage system at the Mogalakwena mine, where we ran a fuel cell in a 510-ton truck, first in the world, first time giving the concept of allowing us for a total holistic solution on site with the production of green hydrogen, storage, compression, filling into the vehicle. The vehicle tested and fully tested on site to its first prototype, and now in the second stage of prototyping as we look at transitioning and upgrading from our gaseous this into a potential liquid fuel. And that's done to our partnership with First Mode, Anglo-American in partnership with First Mode. So I think it's a fantastic journey. The start of that, the idea of the potential that South Africa has from hydrogen and the green economy that it does bring to us, the potential that we as a company have on hydrogen being key to our decarbonizing strategy as well. So as Anglo-American, we look at being zero emissions from scope 1 and 2 by 2040. Has helped us on our journey, and together with our regional energy ecosystem, which is allowing us to ensure that we develop a 3 to 5 gigawatt power system of renewable energy, wind, solar, and potential storage, both embedded on site, allowing then the green hydrogen production at point of use, and wheeled, allows us then to unpack this fantastic opportunity.
We at Sasol definitely believe there's a role to play for us in driving this hydrogen mobility economy in South Africa. We've got existing assets that we can utilize, repurpose. For instance, at our Sasolburg facility, we are looking to repurpose, and we've started with that exercise, where we've got an existing 60 megawatt electrolyzer already on site. And we started to feed that electrolyzer of ours with 3 megawatts of solar energy that we generate on our premises in Sasolburg. And that enabled us to start with the production of green hydrogen, about 150 kilograms a day. Whilst we're doing that, we're in parallel busy with the execution of a Msenge wind farm project down in the Eastern Cape. They're almost ready for operations, and once that comes on stream, we will be feeding in 69 megawatts of power into our Sasolburg facility, feeding that electrolyzer, and that will enable Sasol to produce green hydrogen at commercial scale. That's 3.5 tons a day of green hydrogen. What do we do with this green hydrogen? We believe, from a hydrogen mobility perspective, there's a definite role to play, specifically if you look at the hard-to-abate, hard-to-electrify, heavy-duty segment of transport. And there we're working with several of our partners to explore what is it that we can do and how do we get hydrogen into these vehicles. From a behavior perspective, it's exactly in terms of refueling experience, filling up time exactly the same as what we experience today with petrol and diesel. And with our partners like BMW and Toyota, we're collaborating with. We've got vehicles already in the country and that we're filling up. We started off with a mobile refueler for a very basic 200 bar filling the vehicles. It's not sufficient to get sufficient drive with the vehicles, but the next step we already took, and we're now at 350 bars. So we can get now more distance with the vehicles. Slowly but surely showcasing the technology so that everyone can see and experience it. And our next phase would be to put down a very small 350 bar and a 700 bar capability hydrogen refueling station site, small. And we start with a hub in Gauteng, and we will start there and slowly but surely build that out and not go and blanketly just put hydrogen refueling stations down without the vehicles being here. So you need to do it in a very controlled way to make sure that from a risk management perspective, you're doing it in a responsible manner.
And I want to get your comment on LOHC. Is this going to mean that if they get that right and it's competitive, it'll be like just transporting oil like we've done all the time?
LOHC, liquid organic hydrogen compounds, is definitely something that's interesting, and we're following that very closely. When you look at hydrogen mobility specifically, I think the important thing in terms of the transportation of hydrogen sits in where your point of production will be and where the offtake will be. And whether you transport it in a gaseous form or whether it will be liquid or even LOHC. And through the studies that have been done, and as I've said, we're monitoring it quite closely, we believe at about 150 to 200 kilometers away from your production facility, transporting it in a gaseous format still makes sense. The moment you go beyond that 200 kilometer range, there you need to look at something different, like a liquid, or you look at a decentralized production. So there's various options currently on the table. LOHC, I believe, is something that will be quite useful for transportation of hydrogen over long distances. Because you have to, at the back end again, extract the hydrogen from the material that it is captured in. So there's options available, and that makes it quite nice. It's all in development phases, and we're following it quite closely to make sure that once we take the steps forward, that we do it in the most efficient way.
And BMW's Jürgen tells me that he's dealing with 10 countries at the moment. Now, the 10 countries, have they given you any idea where you could learn from those countries, or are we behind, or are we ahead, or are we abreast?
There's definitely opportunity to learn from all of them. With our partners, Toyota, for instance, we went to Australia as a first world country and see what they did there. We're following also where these hydrogen hubs, that's normally the approach they follow. They start off with small hubs and then they grow this out. Taking the learnings on board, and that's also why I said in terms of looking at your refueling infrastructure, how you build that out, to do it in a responsible way. For instance, what we've learned in Australia is that companies like Toyota and Hyundai, two OEMs that actually competitors, are working very closely together to get this mobility ecosystem off the ground. That's pre-competition stages. In South Africa, we've got now BMW and Toyota, and our next step would be to see how do we bring all of these industries that actually have done something, that's shown intent, how do we bring all of us together so that we can start to gain traction and gain a lot more momentum so that we can do things slightly quicker in South Africa.
We think that hydrogen vehicles are part of the future of zero-emission mobility. And many people are talking about hydrogen in heavy-duty trucks, but we think that hydrogen also plays a role in light-duty vehicles and passenger cars. A hydrogen car basically is an electric car. It uses hydrogen as the energy instead of electricity that is stored in a battery. But you have all the advantages of electric driving, like the great acceleration. It's a silent ride, it's emission-free. But because it's hydrogen, you can refuel the car in just 3 to 4 minutes. Of course, for that, you need a network of hydrogen fueling stations. And we hope that in South Africa, there will be such a network within the next 5, 8, 10 years.
What other countries are also moving in this direction?
There's many countries in the world that are having hydrogen strategies to master the energy transition, because we need hydrogen in addition to electricity from renewables to be able to decarbonize completely. Europe is going ahead full steam. Asian countries like Japan, Korea, China are very strong. Australia, the Middle Eastern countries, and many countries in the world are now gearing up to produce hydrogen from renewables, especially countries who have a lot of sun or a lot of wind, and then trying to export the hydrogen to the industrial nations. But I think it's important that these countries also employ hydrogen in the domestic energy system and not just export it. Green hydrogen basically comes from renewable energy through a process called electrolysis, where you split water into hydrogen and oxygen. That, of course, requires solar or wind energy. There's also an intermediate process that leads to blue hydrogen, which is using natural gas, splitting it up, and then capturing the CO2 and putting that back into the earth so it's not put into the atmosphere. And that is kind of an intermediate technology, but the ultimate goal is really to have renewable energy and produce green hydrogen from that.
And which country do you think is furthest ahead, and which country do you think is best positioned to convert now to a green hydrogen economy?
It's hard to say that one country is best suited, because all the different nations have different opportunities. They have a different focus. Some focus on hydrogen production, other focus on hydrogen usage in their industry, in their mobility. So there's not really one country that is far ahead of the others. And since it's such a new technology, we need to work together. The whole industry needs to work together along the value stream of hydrogen production, hydrogen transport, hydrogen storage, and then hydrogen applications. But also the nations have to work together, because hydrogen will become an energy carrier that will be traded all over the world. So this is about collaboration and making sure that the whole industry moves together step by step, such that we can have hydrogen as part of the energy transition.
The key messaging from today is that hydrogen is going to play a strategic role within a decarbonized world, and particularly within passenger vehicles. So this is something that we need to look out for. This partnership with Sasol and BMW is quite key to showcase the green hydrogen mobility here in South Africa. But as Anglo-American Platinum, we do very similar work on a global basis. We have a 200 taxi fleet with light passenger vehicles, Toyota Mirai on the road in Berlin, and we are looking at how to promote fuel cell electric vehicles, because that's going to be important for us as South Africa, as the PGM industry, because our platinum goes into the beautiful vehicles that are on display today.
And what sort of potential do you think there is for platinum and iridium in this sort of environment?
So within a green hydrogen environment, we are going to see uptake of our PGMs. Now, within the hydrogen production, iridium obviously plays a crucial role, and platinum plays a crucial role within fuel cell electric vehicles. Some of our initial calculations say that, if you had to take the global vehicle market and you had to target between 5 and 7% of the global vehicle market for fuel cell electric vehicles, it can be anything between 2.5 to 4 million troy ounces of platinum per annum. So that is meaningful demand from the sector.
And this hydrogen, it goes everywhere. I mean, I see it's going into green steel, it's going into potentially flying airplanes and ships and trucks and buses and everything. So it is a far more holistic solution. And does it really protect Mother Earth best, or what is the best for Mother Earth?
So it is considered a renewable energy because green hydrogen, you're actually harvesting your energy from the sun. You're using water, which you split to generate your hydrogen. There's other means of generating hydrogen as well, but that's the way you get green hydrogen. And the nice thing about hydrogen is it's going to be a key factor in terms of decarbonizing hard-to-abate sectors. So that's something that we need to be aware of. And hydrogen is available abundantly, like I said, in water. It's naturally in the atmosphere. So you need to ensure that you work safely with it and you work in a manner that ensures that we are left with a cleaner and greener world.
And how important is it for South Africa to get a replacement for internal combustion engine market demand and some sort of replacement, and will hydrogen replace it?
So currently almost 30% of PGMs or platinum goes into the autocatalyst that's found in your existing ICE engines. Battery electric vehicles, as they come in, will decrease the amount of ICE engines there are. I don't believe we're going to get to zero. So there's going to be a mix when it comes to that energy transition. So you're still going to have ICE engines, you're still going to have BEVs, and FCEVs are really going to play a crucial role from two perspectives. Heavy duty, because BEVs just don't give you that driving range, and the charging times are reasonably long or quite long, whereas your FCEVs allow you to refuel at a much faster rate. But also within passenger vehicles, as I've indicated, this demonstration, the one in Berlin, has showcased that fuel cells and hydrogen have a role to play within a light passenger vehicle. So I think it's important to understand that there is going to be this energy mix. And for us as South Africa is understanding how do we ensure that our PGMs have technologies that are available for end use for our platinum. And that's really what we do as market development, is finding those end use applications. And we like to say we architects of demand as market development, and what we try to do is we try to design for optionality, so that gives you all the different options and end-use technologies that our PGMs can go to, but also anti-fragility for our PGM basket. So we don't only do market development for platinum, it's all of the metals in the PGM basket, so palladium, rhodium, iridium, ruthenium, etc.
Tell us about the fuel cell and what that does in the car.
It takes oxygen from the atmosphere and hydrogen that we put into the fuel tanks of the car to form water. And it's as simple as that. People think this is magic, it's the science, to form water. But in that process gives up heat and electricity. And we use that electricity to power the electrical drivetrain in the BMW iX5 hydrogen. What I love about hydrogen, it is an energy source, it is a transport vector, and it's a storage vector. And allows us to, for example, capture renewable energies and offer them in a stable way when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing. Hydrogen has roughly 3.5 times the gravimetric, that's per weight, energy content versus conventional gasoline. And it's why it's partly a huge potential technology for hard-to-abate industries. You know, at some point, electricity does not have enough power density or energy density to drive big industrial processes. You need to burn something. And so, for example, hydrogen is being looked at as a serious technology to replace CNG, LNG, LPG in large industrial technologies. A simple example of an industrial area which we could implement immediately in South Africa is the production of green fertilizers. Because they use hydrogen. There's a massive market currently for hydrogen, what we call grey hydrogen, and that could easily be replaced in the first step by green hydrogen. And of course there are potential other uses, green steel, powering of industrial processes that demand a large amount of energy. People talk a lot about microgrids. This is a huge potential to take the sun and wind energy, store it into hydrogen and use hydrogen electrolyzers to then generate electricity again. So I think if I had to summarize it, it will bring many industries together in sort of a puzzle that all fits together. So you'll see a lot of cross-industry collaboration, and hydrogen as a energy source, an energy transport vector, and an energy storage vector is going to be revolutionary, I think, in terms of helping the world mitigate against climate change, but also providing energy security and independence for many countries, in particular in the global south.
So you're saying it can be for cars, but it can be for trucks, trains, buses, ships, aircraft?
Aircraft and industrial processes because of the energy content of hydrogen. And hydrogen is probably one of the most renewable elements that we have. You know, 75% of the universe is made of hydrogen. It's the lightest material that we have, so offers opportunities, especially in civilian situations. Hydrogen disperses very quickly, so you know we don't have hydrogen gas clouds forming, for example, and as with the energy content, allows us to use hydrogen in many applications.
And so what about the infrastructure now? We've had a situation where, you know, since 1950, Sasol has been producing grey hydrogen.
Yeah.
Can they use the same pipelines, transport trucks? Can we use the same ships? I mean, could this be a replacement for oil and gas and the hydrocarbons that we're used to, and can it be traded?
I think it's, so yes to all of those questions. I think we're at the start of the green hydrogen economy. If I can speak from a mobility perspective, we're probably 3 to 5 years away from seeing a hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle offered as a product by BMW in South Africa. But now's the time to have the discussions, now's the time to form partnerships, now's the time to put the infrastructure in place, and I think you will see a rapid development over the next 5 years. It's the same thing that happened with electric vehicles, you know. We have our ups and downs. Martin, you will remember the oil crisis in the 70s, and then you know, electric vehicles became the big talk, and then that abated and it went away. But because of the importance and really the challenge of climate change mitigation right now, electric vehicles are commonplace, and I was fortunate enough to be the one who launched the electric vehicle program in South Africa, and I'm seeing a similar technology adoption path. It's a bit of chicken and egg. We've got to bring puzzle pieces together. You know, we often say the state has to take the first loss, and we're having positive discussions with government, together with you know, public-private partnerships that are the Hydrogen Valley Initiative is a good example of that, and we're all trying to participate, given where climate change politics are, given where energy security concerns and the geopolitics of the world currently, that we're definitely going to see a rapid development of hydrogen technology and an uptake then certainly of consumer-oriented products. There's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. Human beings know hydrogen for, you know, most of our scientific revolution. It's not something new, but certainly the applications for it are changing, and as I said, driven in particular by really the urgency of our climate change debate right now. So watch this space. We're taking ideas off industrial policy documents and bringing them into real-world applications, because there's a lot of consumer education to be done as well. I think as human beings we trust things that we can see, touch and feel, and that's a large part of what the partners and ourselves are doing now between BMW, Anglo, American Platinum and Sasol, is to actually bring real case examples like our BMW iX5 hydrogen, refueled with green hydrogen produced by Sasol, with the platinum group metals in the fuel cells.